My name is Ryan Earnhardt from CreativeSoundLab.tv, where audio recording is an art form. This week we're going to be talking about the control room desk. I get a lot of questions about how I have something rigged up in the desk, how I'm patching things in, what do I think about this and that. I'm not going to be giving a lot of opinions today necessarily, but I will show you a little bit about the control room and really what I have going on in the desk. A few different stories, like my B monitors have a really cool story for them. So let's go ahead and head on into the control room and check it out. Okay, so just a little bit about the desk and a little tour of the desk. My dad actually built this desk, so you could say it's a custom build. I believe it was in. I believe he signed the underside of the desk about 2009. So yeah, great desk, great build. I've gotten a lot of compliments on the desk alone. And of course, it's basically just two towers with a adjoining tabletop surface in between. So it's just a really cool design, and it served me really well. And over the years, I've kind of filled it out. So really my start for my studio was with the computer. It was with a pair of monitors. It was with this MOTU interface, which mind you, I could totally update this at this point. But it's really hard to get away from having so many ins and outs. Really, it's the outs that are really nice to have, from all the different reamping that I do to headphone mixes. It's really nice to have so many ins and outs. But really, my start in building kind of my control room gear was the computer, the MOTU, and I actually had a PreSonus FirePod before this. So it was a little 8-channel interface. So I got this, and then I started building these pre's, so 7-circle audio preamps. So for a long time I had just these preamps. There was even a time where I was, running lines in from a little Yamaha mixer that I had into this, and so I just made do with what I had, and but yeah, it really got the job done. These pre's are really quite great. They actually make API and Eve, John Hardy, kind of a clean, you could say a millennial style pre. These actually are just the $100 preamp that they make, the T15, and they have a full range fader, of course the gain, but they sound really good. They don't sound completely clean. They don't sound completely as flavorful as, say, the 312 kind of modeled preamps by Warm Audio with the WA12, but these preamps have really good, nice warm sound, you could say. You can actually push them pretty hard. I can dial them back and push them up. With any mic, let's say if I'm getting gains on a microphone, let's say I'd set it at like 3 there, and so I have the gain that I need. I actually can dial it back, so it's not clipping in my converters here. And I want to say I have probably about 5 clicks before the pre actually becomes really bad sounding. But I have about 5 clicks of nice coloration, 5 variations of coloration out of this pre. They're not discrete, but they still give me that option to push them and to really drive the pre just a little bit for some coloration. So that was something that my friend David actually kind of woke me up and said, hey, you could actually be pushing these pre's. So thanks to him, I learned how to really start experimenting with that. And then let's see here, just kind of going chronologically. From here, I've had this Mackie Onyx board for quite a while. Really nothing spectacular about it, but it's a great start if you need something to just to use some utility functions around the studio. 8 preamps, direct out via Firewire. So at a time I've actually used these for its preamps. I don't anymore, except for like talkback. And currently, I just use it mainly for a monitor control, talkback, just miscellaneous things here at the studio. These items here are actually really not even in use. I need to take a look at this amp here. This is what I use to drive these NS30s here. But these NS30s sound spectacular. So I found these at a Goodwill for $10 a piece. And I want to say, let me see here. Yeah. So I actually kept the sticker on the bottom of it. They put stickers all over this thing. $9.99 a speaker. So I said, oh, that is a Yamaha. It looks kind of like the NS10s. So I grabbed them. So they sound great. They sound really, really nice. Not the same kind of low end as the Focal's Solo 6. Totally different kind of sound, but I've made some great mixes on these. So I've had these for a while. I've had some of the basics, and then recently I was able to pick up some of the Warm Audio gear, the TB12s and the WA12s. And these really kind of upped the game as far as what I knew my mics could do. All of a sudden, all of my different mics started sounding a little bit better. SM57, SM, everything was like, oh wow, that even sounds a little better, a little quicker. So these are modeled after the API. These you can actually switch back and forth, which is really cool. And they actually have on their website that you can go ahead and pop in whatever op amp that you want. So if you want to buy from John Hardy, I think it's like the 990 op amp, you could pop them in, so you can go between API, John Hardy, API, John Hardy. Really, really cool idea. So you could essentially load up a whole rack of these and have two completely different sounds at a flip of a switch. You can switch the capacitors, you could take out the transformer, you can switch the transformer, and then you can switch the input impedance from 600 to 150, which is also a great way to mod the sound. And these are also a full range fader, just like these, so you can really push them hard, and watch them go into basically a nuke mode and get a lot of coloration out of them. And then for compression, right now I'm really, really liking the WA76s, which are 1176 style compressor, and it is really adaptable. I can use them for about anything, of course. There's a reason why they're a classic. They have a sound to them, and it wasn't something that I was really aware of until I started using them. Once again, master your stuff. I mastered these preamps first and learned everything about them, and I'm still in the process of mastering these. So I'm sure 2 to 3 years from now I can say that I've mastered them even more. And it's going to take a lifetime to master everything that you have. And so if you're bored with your stuff, well, try something else. Keep trying, because you want to make sure that you can use it. The more you're able to master each tool that you have, the quicker you are at using it, and you're going to be more consistent in getting sounds, and your recordings will be really that much better. So preamps, compression, and this is my very basic Patchbay. I'm going to get a second one of these, and right now I basically have preamps through 1 through 12. Then I have 4 compressors, 4 of the Pultecs, and then I have see here, digital out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I have the line input or through, depending on how I have it set up. Usually I'll try to use some of these jacks to get into the insert of the TB12s. And that's really cool, because now you can be inserting a compressor in the middle of this circuit. Luckily, I have everything that I literally can just walk around the back. So right now what I do is I just change it within the DAW if I want to go into the line input of the TB12s. Instead of patching it physically, I will just specify outputs. I believe 9 and 10 are going to the line in. So they're just kind of permanently connected into the line in of 9 and 10. So usually speaker outs are like 1 and 2. This line in would be 9 and 10 here. And then I have kind of a free couple of jacks here. So one of these is like, reamp out basically. So I can, patch in, I can go out, then I could patch into a compressor, then out of the compressor I can go to the reamp out, which goes to the live room. So I can feather the compression just like a guitar compressor, stomp box pedal or whatever, and feather the compression to get the sweet spot in the amp. And then on the way back in, record it through one of the preamps, way back in, into a compressor maybe, into an EQ, and there you go. So don't have enough time to really talk about how I set up the Patchbay as far as like normalization, half normal, all that, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun just trying out new things. And then over here is the EQ, and I have these kind of vertically instead of slanted, so that I can actually see everything. It's these knobs are huge. It's just easier to see all the labeling if you're kind of at eye level with all these knobs here. So it basically is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just patch in to each of these as needed. This one here has a Telefunken 12AX7 in it, which sounds actually really good. So my dad at some ham radio shop decided, hey, maybe my son wants a Telefunken 12AX7. So yeah, he just kind of snuck that in. I'm like, wow, Dad, thanks. That was really cool. So I've had it for a while. I've tried it in an amp at one point. It made the amp sound better. And this was finally, it's like moment of glory of like, hey, this is a perfect application for that one tube that's really kind of special. So I may change out the others as well, just kind of looking for just a little bit difference in tone. It's a lot of fun. These are really sculpting EQs. I wouldn't call them surgical. You pretty much, I a lot of times don't even pay attention to these numbers. I don't. A lot of times they don't actually get the results that I'm thinking of. So like a lot of times, like 100 sounds a little higher than 100 to me. But yeah, I just kind of run with it. It's just a sculpting tool. So that's kind of my EQ there. Compression. And a lot of times what I'll do after all this is said and done is I have my pre's, I'll run basically out of a pre, let's say into an EQ, and then what I'll do is instead of patching back in to the input that this would originally be going into automatically, this would replace the signal with the processing, but instead I'll run it into an adjacent channel. So I will have basically the dry preamp unaffected going into the converter, and then on an adjacent channel, say channel 8, I'll have the EQ channel. So it kind of acts as a backup. And a lot of times I'll do that, for vocal, for live monitoring. I want to have the vocalists be able to hear compression so that they can perform a little better. Maybe if it's a dark ribbon, they don't like the sound of it, but I want the sound of that because I know it'll give me options perhaps. Maybe it's just a better suited kind of for their voice, but they want to hear some brightness or whatever. Well, I can give them their expectations by processing differently, but recording a dry signal still. So that's just a little bit about the desk and a little bit about how I work. So that was just a little bit about the control room desk I also just want to say thanks to my friend Caden. Thanks, man. I appreciate you being here. He's helped me out. He's been walking and doing these tours and these videos. So thanks a bunch, man. I'll see you next week.